Okay, I briefly wanted to go over advanced attack methods and advanced defend methods for those of you who do plan on going on defending your cities. Unfortunately, I don't have any targets right now, so I'm kind of going off old picture tutorials here, but bear with me here. So, I will show the attacks I send in the future pictures here, so you'll get to see that in a second, but in the beginning I'm just going to show you what the results are. So if you're attacking a large player, this player was, I believe, roughly 25 million power. This player only had high-end troops, Nas, Reapers, Nims, things like that. And you can see how my attack killed, almost 1 million troops in a single hit. And we'll just scroll down to wave number 2. Wave number 2 took out, all of his Nas, a chunk of his Reapers, and he evaded the third hit, so he did survive with some of his troops, otherwise he would have been finished. So, I think I spent 2 million power here, and I wiped out, this guy down to 5 million. So that's 20 million power that he lost. I lost 2. Pretty big difference. So obviously you can see the effect of this attack. Scrolling down here. So this is the attack setup right here. You can use, one less truck and one more grunt, whatever, doesn't really matter. Anyways, scrolling down, you can see here how I killed, well over 1.5 million troops in a single hit. And I'm going to scroll to one here. So right here I killed all of his vampire bats, which this attack targets vampire bats first, followed by nemesis bats. And generally after that it targets Nos, Reapers, then Auks, and then Impalers. Sometimes Impalers first. The order slightly changes. There's a randomization factor. I would show you the target priority system, but there's so many different variables that change it. It would just pretty much confuse most people, and it's not even something I've been able to fully pin down yet because it's constantly changing. But these are pretty steady numbers right here. So as I said, first V-Bats, then Nims. This will show that basically vampire bats are not good to have on defense. I would keep maybe 10 to 20,000, and this is for somebody who has hundreds of thousands. Keep a couple in your city, so if somebody sends an attack, their first attacks will target your vampire bats and slow them down long enough for your troops to kill them. In the future, once they get past the Nims, they're going to start going for other troops. And, if you're set up properly, they're not going to do a whole lot of damage, but if you're not set up properly, they can do a pretty good chunk of damage after that. So bats are basically delaying, but if you have a lot of bats, they're just only going to kill more, so it's only have a couple there. So that was the second hit. Scrolling down to the third hit, I wiped this guy out. As you can see, I lost 1 million power for the first hit, because I think it's roughly, actually it's like 960,000, another 960,000, and then, I lost some troops right here, but largely came out unscathed. So for, less than 2.4 million power, this guy went down from 25 million to nothing. He had like 300,000 power after that, so I pretty much just annihilated this guy. Let's see, one more. Let's scroll up again. I'm trying to remember who these opponents are. I blocked out the names, for whatever. As I said, it targets vampire bats first. As you can see, it doesn't matter how many you have, I'm pretty much going to kill them. And then your Nims. And then scrolling down, killing off the Nims, then it went for the Nos. After that, I started going down. I think this actually is the same hit. This is actually Death Wolf. The one way to slow down my attack, and I'm just going to scroll to the top, if this person had, let's say, a couple 100,000 grunts, a couple 100,000 trucks, 6 Benson slashers, and at least a couple 100,000 snipers, this would have been considerably less. I still would have done a lot of damage to the vampire bats, and maybe a chunk to the Nims, but it wouldn't have been nearly this much. It might have been 200,000 vampire bats. If he had a level 10 outpost, which I'll go into that later, it would have been less. But basically what happens is your target priority system gets affected by having more troops in play. It causes troops to have slightly different variables in battle. Sounds complicated, but basically, long story short, if you have those other troops, it basically confuses the attackers a little bit, slows them down a notch, and it lets you hit them a little bit better. Or I should say, slow the attackers down. So this guy right here I took out, in almost 3 hits. The other guy completely wiped out in 3 hits. However, if somebody had, all these the grunts and all that, it could take 12 to 13 hits, which for a lot of people, that's a lot of troops. That's a huge chunk to be losing. And then, on top of that, if you have an upgraded outpost, mine is level 10, so I have a 90% attack and 90% defense bonus. That's a huge chunk. So then after that, I might be only killing like 70,000 vampire bats and a couple thousand Nims. you could see how that would slow me way down, how it could be considerably more expensive to take out a city. So if somebody has a level 10 outpost, basically my recommendation is target the outpost first, defeat the troops there and take the outpost down, before moving on to the bigger, stronger city. The reason being is the troops are going to be so much stronger with an outpost bonus, it's going to be so much more expensive, it's just not worth it. So take out the outpost, then go for the city, and they should be considerably weaker, you do a lot more damage. You can also use the Vengeance and Fortitude items for slight, I think it's 20% bonus on attack and defense. If you think about it, your troops, and I'll just go over here to Vampa.net, a good example. Go to the troops. So, for instance, Impalers, or, let's just go to the Nesfuratu right here. Nesfuratu have 1,000 melee damage. So that means if they're meeting you in the field of battle, like they're actually face-to-face with their enemies, they do 1,000 damage on the attack. If they're being attacked and they meet the enemy, they do 400 damage. So for people wondering how that works, that's how that goes. The theory right now for Impalers is, rather than doing this number for ranged attack on defense, they're actually just using this, so we believe they're considerably weaker. However, there's still some debate on that one, so I can't give you a definitive answer. They're good to have, I'll say that, but, for stopping bats and things like that, you're going to go Nas, Alks, and Reapers. So anyways, as I was saying, this has 1,000 melee damage, and if you have level 10 Twilight Warfare, you have an additional 50% attack defense bonus. So this is 1,500, and this is 600 now. If you add another, 90% from a level 10 outpost, this is 900 plus 5, so this is 2,600 damage right here, in the attack, and you can see how that outpost is, makes a considerable amount of difference in battles, which is why you want to take it out first when defending or defeating or attacking big targets. When you're on the defense, I can basically show you what happens here. These are attacks against me, personally. I'm the receiving party here. And, as you can see, people like to mix up the Alks, the Impalers, and the Reapers. And the reason you don't want to do that is, long story short, the Impalers are sitting in the back shooting, the Reapers and the Alks move forward. The moment they're engaged, though, when an enemy is being engaged in the attack, it's no longer using its ranged attack. It is now using its melee, which, although this is still considerable, is, in some cases, lower than what it could be. So just going back to this picture over here, why you want, in my case of the other ones where you want to have the layered troops, is when the defenders, bats, and all that are leaving the walls, they're going to target different layers of troops, so that buys your attackers more time. So if, like, I have grunts and reapers and all that moving forward, the enemies, nemesis, bats, and all that, they're targeting certain troops first, and sometimes they target the low-end troops, which delay them while your impalers shoot freely and aren't touched. I'll explain this all better in another video, so right now if I'm confusing anybody, just bear with me here. Trust me that you want to mix up your attacks a bit. So anyways, as I said, your vampire bats are generally always vulnerable. They're going to get hit first. But other than that, I'm really not getting phased too much. I lose 83,000 there, but this person is losing a lot more right here. He's losing almost 1,000,000 power per hit, and I haven't even lost 700,000 here. I mean, he's getting hit a lot harder than me. So, let's move over here to this one, vampire bats. Once they kill the vampire bats and the nemesis bats, with my defense as it is right now, this is one of my old defenses when I had a lot less troops, they were still killing, roughly 0 troops or maybe a couple thousand. Once they got through the bats, because I had all of these other troops here, it delayed them long enough in the battle mechanics to where they could barely get through. And it was so expensive for them to attack me, most people give up within a few attacks because I pretty much can't be beaten unless you're scripting me for hours straight. So, for those of you who are confused, that's how the defense and attacks work. I'll go over the battle mechanics more later.